Hello, children. Welcome to a rainy Tuesday afternoon and story time with Grandpa. What better way to pass a rainy day than with a story? Today's story is The Shoemaker and the Elves, retold by Rosie McCormick and illustrated by Barbara Gibson. Once there was a poor shoemaker and his wife. "We only have enough leather left to make one pair of shoes," said the worried shoemaker to his wife. That night, the shoemaker left the leather on his workbench and went to bed. He decided he would make his last pair of shoes in the morning. When the shoemaker woke up, he was shocked to find a beautiful pair of shoes on his workbench. He puzzled and puzzled over who could have made such beautiful shoes. Later that day, a customer came into the workshop and admired the shoes. They fit his feet so perfectly that he paid double the money for them. "We now have enough money to buy dinner and to buy leather for 2 more pairs of shoes," the shoemaker said happily. That evening, he cut the leather for 2 pairs of shoes and left it on his workbench. Amazingly, the next morning, there were 4 pairs of shoes. New fancy shoes. The shoemaker and his wife sold all 4 and made more money. "I must discover who is making these shoes," said the shoemaker to his wife. So they decided to stay awake and watch the workbench all night. That evening, 2 tiny elves in tattered clothes tiptoed into the workshop. They began to sew the leather into beautiful shoes. "Those poor elves must be freezing in their ragged clothes," said the wife to the shoemaker. So they decided to sew new clothes and shoes for the poor little elves. That evening, they left the gifts on the workbench for the elves to find. Wasn't that nice of them? Look at them peeking through the curtain here. The elves are just working away. And here's the new clothes, little hats, little waistcoat and jackets and pants. That was so kind. When the elves returned, they discovered the beautiful clothes. They were so happy with their new clothes that they danced out of the workshop and were never seen again. From that day forward, the shoemaker and his wife lived a happy life with plenty to eat. Isn't that a nice story? So the shoemaker got back in business and was able to make more shoes. And that's the end of our story. Would you like another story? I have a little one called The Little Red Hen, retold by Rosie McCormick and illustrated by Gail McIntosh. Let's begin our story. There once was a little red hen who lived with her friends on a farm. She was not a lazy hen. She worked harder than all of the other animals. Look at the other animals. They're sleeping away here, and she's working away, pecking, keeping the barnyard clean. The little red hen wanted to plant some grains of wheat. She asked for help, but her friends refused. Oh dear, that wasn't nice. She wanted some help. So she planted the grains herself. In the summertime, the wonderful gold wheat was ready to be harvested, and once again, with no one to help her, the little red hen did all the work. The little red hen had to grind the wheat into flour, and as usual, her friends did not want to do any hard work. Boy, look at them. Here's the cat sleeping, and the pig's off wandering, and the duck is walking around. So the little red hen ground the flour herself. The little red hen used the flour to make bread dough. With no one to help her, she kneaded the dough all by herself. She works hard, eh? The little red hen's friends had completely abandoned her. They wouldn't help. So she baked the bread all by herself. When the smell of freshly baked bread rose up into the air, the little red hen's friends appeared. They were willing to help her eat the bread, but the little red hen ate it all by herself. She had done all the work. Well, it would have been nice if she'd shared it with her friends, and then said it maybe would have been better if everybody helped to make the bread. And that's the end of this little story. Come back next week for a new story with Grandpa.